You told me not to get sexual.
Get it? Well, it's not about me this time, is it? So,
Well, the consumption of substances
fantastic wording.
and, you know, at the height of it when I was living on the mountainside, my wife back then, you know, she was doing lesbian internet porn when I met her, for example. And I'll just leave the rest to people's imaginations.
Your life as well. Do you miss any part of it?
No, I just look at it as a chapter in my life I was going through when I was a young person. And I think I'm happier now than I was then with you and baby Ziggy.
Of course you are. You lucky, lucky man. I come down the stairs, right?
Every day and say,
Every day. No, what is it?
what's it like living with this?
No, I go, what's it like? And I just look at him deadpan. I'm like, what's it like? And he knows exactly what I mean. He goes,
And I say, why are you always yelling at me? Because I'm horny all the time.
Right, I'm going to go on to your spirituality now then. Can we talk about your trip last summer?
So I did the plant from Peru, and
In as much detail as possible.
oh my God! So the yurt ceiling turned into a giant seashell, descended upon my head.
Let's set the scene. Right, you love 20-minute stories with your guests. Make it into a 20-minute story, please. I can sit back, relax, and chime in what happened to me.
We're in a yurt, about 40 people at the perimeter, laying down on yoga mats and bedding. Jen's on the opposite side because she didn't want my vibe affecting her ride.
Vibe affecting the hive.
So there's the shamanic people at the front with the eagle's wings and the bones and all that stuff, the priestesses. And we chugged these drinks that weren't as unsavory as some of the chemical compounds I've had in my past, so I coped. But anyway, I'm laid out on my yoga mat, and all of a sudden, the ceiling turns into a giant seashell which descends upon my head. And then I'm getting these visuals coming into my eyes, and I'm just zoning off. And as I close my eyes, the visuals just got intense. I'm going up and down this roller coaster, up and down this roller coaster. So I open my eyes high, put the brakes on, and it puts the brakes on a bit, puts the brakes on a bit, puts the brakes on a bit, and then my eyes go again. Intense, 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 too intense, intense. Open the eyes, puts the brakes on a bit, puts the brakes on a bit. Close the eyes, intense, intense, intense. Open the eyes. There's no brakes left now, folks. I am gone. Now I'm just laid flat. Don't even know who I am, what position I'm in. All I can do is hear myself breathing. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Whatever you are, you're alive. Keep breathing. I can hear people puking around me, and I remembered people are puking and having the runs and the diarrhea. This is normal. And I'm thinking about the diarrhea, and then my sphincter's just pulsing now. Oh my God, am I having a diarrhea? I gotta clench, I gotta clench, I gotta clench, I gotta clench. And I'm off somewhere else. I'm off somewhere else. Then all my dead friends come to me. Like I've thought about them one-on-one over the years, but like Wildman's at the front and he's laughing. And they're all laughing and we're all having this group conversation. And there's Cody Bates, my right-hand man, and the Prophet, and two Tonys, and Big Micah, and Tucson Charlie, and on and on and on it goes. And they're all saying they're proud of me, you know, having a family, meeting this wonderful woman, and having a baby Ziggy, and I'm doing great. And I'm just overcoming emotion. This is real to me now. I've just left I'm in this, I've gone through a portal into this hall of the dead. And I am in this hall of the dead. It's all real to this day. It's real in my brain, which is a fascinating thing. So as I started to come back to reality, I was still tripping extremely hard, and I'm looking around the room at everybody, and like,
oh, so this was India.
Jen's face is melting on the other side of the room. I'm looking at her every now and then, and she's melting, and other people's faces are melting, and I'm just thinking, whoa, this is too intense. I'm being overstimulated. I'm closing my eyes and opening them, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? And the people are singing and people are throwing up. And my brain's like, feels like it's going to shatter. So I thought to myself, right, oh yeah, look, there's a gap in the tent. I know what I'm going to do. If I sneak out, no one will see me. Then all the pressure will be off me from being in this overstimulated room. And I'll just chill out under the stars. Because there's too many people around me right now and it's freaking me out. And they told me, actually, I could put my hand up if I was freaking out. And they'd blow this thing on me, this smoke, and it would sober me up. You know what, I think I'm going to do that. But if I do that, then everyone's going to look at me. So I'm not going to do that. So maybe I'm just going to sneak out. So I'm sat there, laid out, and I'm like seeing the gap and thinking, yeah, I'm going to go for that in a minute. I thought, oh, maybe I can't walk. I best put my hand up and get this thing they blow on my face. And I'm like, my hand's halfway up. Everyone's going to look at me. And then my hand's down again. I'm thinking, like, can I even move right now? I'm sure I've moved. So in the end, I thought, right, I can't walk, but I reckon I can drag myself across the floor, which will put me on the ground and no one will see me. I'll get out. So that's exactly what I did, believing no one was seeing me. And then when I got to the slit in the tent, I managed to get through it. I think someone was there, actually. And I said I needed fresh air. And then they let me just sit outside. And as soon as I got outside, I was coming down then. But the person who was speaking to me, his face was still melting off. It took about an hour. I mean, one woman came out. People were trying to get me to go back in and trick me. And one woman came out that was going to the toilet. And she was a normal person who wasn't trying to trick me. So she said, I'm just going to the toilet, where is it? And I said, over there. And she's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. And we were just talking nicely. And she wasn't stressing me out at all. And then she goes, why don't you go back inside? And I said, you're one of them, aren't you? And I just turned away from her. And there was a candle on the floor and there was a beetle right next to it that was just tossing and turning on the grass. And I just went back to looking at that and I was disgusted by her.
So I'll give my story, which coincides with this. So
yeah. I
drank what can be described as like mud, isn't it? Drink.
Oh, yeah.
And she gave me a nice medium dose. So I went up to the altar, drank this drink, went back to my seat.
Yeah.
I prepped myself for this, and I've been watching tons of YouTube videos on the stuff, and I thought, right, I'm going to see death, I'm going to see the devil, I'm going to see everything awful. All my inner demons are going to come up to life. And then I went back to my seat, and like we said, Shaun's opposite. And I just sort of get cosy in it, and I fall asleep.
Yeah.
I feel warm and fuzzy, and I fall asleep. That was it. Woke up 4 hours later, no hallucinations. I thought, I need the toilet. So I start going to walk out the bell tent. The priestess comes up to me and goes, I've got to tell you, Jen, Shaun's outside. He's had a bit of a tan. And I was like, right. And they go, can you try it? We've sent people out to try and get him to come back in the tent, but he's not coming and we really need to monitor him. And I was like, I'll go get him. So I went out to the toilet. I thought, I'm going to use the toilet anyway, regardless of helping you first. So, and then came over to you and you just sat on the floor staring at a candle like that, a big smile across your face. And you look up really slowly like that. You're like, your face is melting. Can you remember this? Any of this?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you were telling me about your experience, but I could tell from your eyes it was still very much present for you.
Yeah.
So I managed to usher you back in the tent.
Yes.
And then they gave me another shot, didn't they? Because it didn't work on me. So, well, I think it did, but for some reason my body needed more sleep.
You went to sleep, yeah?
Yeah. So then I took the second dose, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Went straight back to sleep. The most expensive sleep we've ever had.
And speaking of doses, you know, when I went to get my dose, I said, just give me the small one. And she said, no, you need the large one.
Large.
So that contributed to my demise. But I credit the intensity of it with when I came home, I was just full of love for a long time.
Straight
and
after.
it gave me epiphanies that really helped me in my life.
Which we'll get to them in a minute. Mm-hmm. But let's carry on at the retreat at the moment. I'd like you to make a confession of, like, I think it's about time that you cleansed your soul of confession time of you stole some Mexican food, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. So there was this gorgeous vegetarian Mexican food. And was it on the last day? And it was like leftover, really.
It wasn't leftover, Sean.
It wasn't.
Well, I think it was for the earth. It was like pay your respects back to the earth, and you thought you got your grubby little mitts on it, and you finished it off, and that was like a sacrifice to the earth, and you couldn't resist eating it.
Yeah, but in my world, it was going to get to the earth anyway through my sphincter.
All right, but no. Since then, I have noticed there's a real strange energy around you. Right. Yeah. Where do you sit with your spirituality?
So, as it said on the parenting podcast, having a baby, and Ziggy's the light of our lives, but it's going to disrupt your sleep for about 5 years. So last week, we were in hospital till 5 in the morning on one day, up till 3 the 4 the previous day and 3 the day before that. So Jen, my energy is all over the place. Like last night, in the last 3 days, I've driven to Liverpool, Coventry, back to Bristol, out to Surrey, Farnham last night, back here, for 11 o'clock. With Ziggy just coming off his illness, it affects you. We're exhausted all the time, aren't we? But we're warriors, and we soldier through, and we keep doing our live streams and our podcasts.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Why did you invite the Jehovah's Witness into our house several times for a chat?
To do a podcast with them, but the elders wouldn't approve it.
Why?
They probably found out who we were.
He Googled you. Do you still get a stiffy about people coming up to you and asking for photos?
Doesn't happen enough, so no.
Right, there's a fire, Ziggy or me.
Oh! Can you describe the exact scenario, please?
There's a fire, Ziggy or me.
Both?
Yeah, no, you can't. Ziggy or me.
Both.
Right, that's just a safe bet. I'd say Ziggy day in, day out. I wouldn't say you.
I'd try and get you both.
Okay. Would you rather be poor but have an exceptionally good life, or be stinking rich and have no family?
So I've done a TED talk called What Facing 200 Years Taught Me About Happiness.
Link will be in the description box below the video. That's just one of the cheesy things.
And what I learned when I was facing 200 years and it crushed the material, my $1 million house on the mountain didn't matter anymore. My sports car, swimming pool, all that stuff got, you just want to get your life back. So when I got sentenced to 9.5 years, it's one of the happiest days of my life. But what I realized was happiness is in your heart and what your thoughts make it.
Cash. Cash pie.
Jen has a song now, folks, where I'll see her dancing around the house in her undies, going, gimme, 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 gimme Gucci. Gimme, 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 gimme Gucci.
Every time there's like, right, so men have it like, men and women have it dead like hard, don't they? When, as a mother, I've got Mother's Day, I've got Valentine's Day, I've got my birthday, I've got Christmas. So every time one of these comes around, which is like every month, it's like happy, what was it, St. Patrick's Day, I need a present.
Yeah.
Gimme.
You're worth your weight in gold, love. You deserve to own the whole Gucci company. I'm going to buy it for you, actually.
Do you think I'm materialistic?
What's your definition of materialism?
Obsessed over material items.
Only
sacrificed my life for them.
Only Gucci.
No. What would you sacrifice your life for?
Ziggy.
Oh, that was fucking obvious, wasn't it? Okay, take Ziggy out of the equation.
You.
No, take me. Take me out of the equation.
My mum and dad and sister.
Oh, you're just such a family man. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Would you say that is the biggest improvement you've seen in your life over the years?
Yes.
Yeah.
What could be more important than baby Ziggy?
In your pre-incarceration life, what would you, if you could, and this is anything, take from that and put into this life? And you could get away with it.
what from my pre-incarceration life would I take from that life and put in this life? So, I guess the only thing that would help is, and I've still got it, is the work ethic, the extreme.
Workaholic.
You call me the robot.
Yeah, I just wish you'd be a bit more tidier.
Tidier.
Yeah, maybe that.
Tidying takes away from work.
What's that? I'm trying to think of the user-friendly term.
You've taught me to sit on the loo now and do my emails while I'm crapping. Anything that takes away from work, delegation. We've got to clean, haven't we?
Yeah. Fair. So, right, what have you never told anyone on camera before?
How much I am saving up to get you Gucci.
On a deep level, Shaun. Let's go. Right, take a deep breath in and out.
Spirits of the blue eternity and the silver surfer, please come inside of me and help me cope with the continued insanity of this woman.
Fantastic. Right. So, what is it that people don't know about you?
What don't they know about me?
I could expose you right here and right now, but I'm choosing not to. I think I'm giving.
That I'm wearing Calvin Klein boxers, not the briefs, the actual like short ones, shorts ones.
What's embarrassing about that?
Nothing, but they don't know that about me.
Oh, that's piss poor. Come on. No, I need something. I want something deep from you, Shaun. I really love my mum's veggie. What was it? Scouse the other night. That was gorgeous. Yeah, because people are going to tune into this podcast to listen about your mum's veggie.
Did you see how much Ziggy was lapping it up?
It was fantastic. Right, that's your life now. Are you that mundane that it's about scouse and
it's
how
about
much
baby
you love
Ziggy
me?
and food and mummy.
All right, we'll answer a few more questions on what makes you. What do you believe makes a good relationship work?
So is that a parent relationship? Is that a love romantic relationship? Or is it my relationship with work? What relationship?
A romantic relationship, Shaun.
A romantic relationship.
He likes to dance around this.
I have run out of Gucci jokes. So, what makes a relationship work? It's like, Jen, you say to me from time to time that, you know, we need to have a date night and take time off watching Ziggy and get babysitters and romance you and take you out to a nice restaurant and stuff like that, which I've endeavoured to do. We're going to Paris, you know, with our festival. But I think that when you see me with Ziggy just tickling him and making him do that belly laugh and stuff like that, I think they are the magical moments in our lives that cement everything with us, and it's a romantic thing in itself without being a ostentatious thing.
No, I do think you're an exceptional dad, and there's something about, like you said, watching you play, or roughhouse as they call it with him. It's really endearing, and it brings like a lot of love to my heart, I think. See, that's nice.
Yeah.
And it's worlds apart from your previous life.
Yeah.
I can't picture your previous life like in you. I really struggle to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I hear all your crazy stories and like the first wife threatening to cut you off, and then, you know, the partying ways and wild man stories and like guns and all that, I can't see that in you. I can't see that at all.
Yeah, people say that it's hard to reconcile me, like the nerdy business studies guy, stock market guy, with someone who got so deep into the underworld. But I always say that I was this guy, stockbroker gone wild, who got gangsteritis. That was a term that came from my friend Two Tonys, who I met in prison, who looked out for me, and I wrote his life story, whereby people who are not gangsters, when they get around the real deal, they get excited and they think they're in a movie. But these gangsters often take advantage of these people. He gave some stories of people who'd been dropped off buildings and stuff. Yeah, but in my case, Wildman was with me, who other gangsters looked up to, and he attracted gangsters. So it's a bit of a different situation whereby we were the, dynamic duo, but he was the real deal. Like, if someone looked at him wrong, he could just knock their teeth out, and then he could, put people in their place who were big, bad, scary people. He really enjoyed doing that. But I vicariously got some kind of thrill from him, which as I said earlier, related perhaps to my love of Marvel comics, The Thing, the Fantastic Four, and those characters I was obsessed with as a kid, because he was like the real life, closest thing in the real life, to me, like that, yeah.
What do you miss about those days?
I don't miss those days. It's like, if you think of nostalgia, I can look back, like when I watched The Sons of Ecstasy, and you relive it, and that, I read a thing the other day that a guy's done, a script, and I relived it. I was, it gave me a good feeling watching these documentaries and stuff and reading these scripts. But it's not something I pine for. I've always been a person who tries to be happy-go-lucky in the present and thinks about the future. And all my business plans have all been revolved around long-term achievements, like the Chinese 10-year plan, and having people who I've got long-term relationships with. I think they are key in being successful.
100%. I see that with you and your business. You very much are like, what's that saying you say? Let them flourish in my garden. Is it that? All
right. So let me just put that into context. When I was building the rave illegal enterprise, the rave scene prior was a number of competing cliques, and these people were kind of like outsiders, eccentric, loners, people who, the opposite of the jocks perhaps when they were in school, but they'd all come together and form this community, but they were competing little cliques. So as I started to incorporate all these cliques into my criminal enterprise, one of my catchphrases was that, we're going to let everybody flourish in our garden.
And you still use it to this day?
You take the piss out of me to this day with it. I don't apply it anymore.
You said it to me. I let people flourish in my garden.
Yeah, I say it facetiously because you know the backstory, but the viewers didn't. But now I've put it into context.
Now they know it, and they know you're not a total weirdo. But right. So, would you say Andrew Gold is your protege?
So Andrew Gold was my co-host on the channel for a while when he was coming up on YouTube. So I did have a role of, would you describe it as mentorship? I
don't know. What would you describe it as, Shaun?
You're getting back to him flourishing in our garden now, aren't you? That's the point here.
Why do you think that? Do you think I'm trying to weave everything?
I think you're just trying to take the piss.
I'm not taking.
You are.
This is what I want. Is a podcast, as you call it. I hate the name podcast. I like chats, like how you talk to someone normally. Like we're sat around a dinner table.
Yeah.
I enjoy interviewing people about their life stories, but at the same time, I like natural approaches. I don't like fakery. I don't like falseness. And I find some interviews I watch are really like stretching and clutching at straws. And I don't want that for myself. I want everything to be really organic. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I don't know information about you, because I do.
So I've never been interviewed like this by anyone before in my life. And I'm trying to figure out whether it's because you've just got this new approach that you've decided to pilot.
I am an anomaly.
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
I'm trying to figure out whether it's because you know me, so you can like grill me in weird, peculiar ways.
I did the same to Kaz.
Or this is just this new structure you're piloting to see if it works. But
it's going to work.
I'm finding it quite intriguing, Jen, to be honest, because I'm so used to answering all the same questions when I get interviewed. And this is completely different. So,
this is
props to you for being a trailblazer.
I am a trailblazer. What did I call myself the other day? It was quite impressive. I'm honestly not that pumped though. I mean, I suffer with insecurities like the rest of them. Do you suffer with insecurities? Because when I met you, I honestly thought this is one of the most secure, like mentally secure men I've ever met. And I put that down to, I don't know, 6.5 years in prison with like actually, having to be quite disciplined there. And
So I had social anxiety. That was
Yeah.
my insecurity as a teenager. I went through a period of that. And when I found ecstasy, I felt completely happy in my own skin, but it was a chemical reaction. So prior to ecstasy, I wasn't talking to females. I was too self-conscious to dance. But when I took ecstasy, I wouldn't stop dancing all night long and talking to people all night long, complete strangers, hugging them and making friends with them. But for over 10 years, people saw this wild and crazy party animal. But when I discussed this with the therapist, he said, if you have a fear or phobia, whatever it is, if it's spiders, let them crawl on you, like I have done. If it's people, you've got to confront your fear head on. So basically, an invisible hand took me, put me in prison, where I'm with maniacs, living with people for 6 years who would have been terrified ordinarily. And you just get used to it. So your social anxiety goes down. And then when you get out of prison, the world seems like a safe place. So I confronted my social anxiety for 6 years by living with people who were wild and crazy. And then I got out. World seems like a safe place. And I realized that I can be happy in my own skin. But I thought when you go out, you still have to fall back on something. And I fell back on alcohol for a year or so. Until I moved down south and I was with Tony, my body combat instructor, who was the life and soul of the party. He would stay out the latest. And he was sober and the most liveliest and dancing the most. And I was thinking, light bulb moment, if you actually can go out without anything, even alcohol, I could do this. And there was a period of doing it where I just felt really uncomfortable. Going out with Hammy and them at the pubs in Widnes, and I'm just drinking a water. And they're taking the piss out of me. But once you get through that decompression, like I take the piss out of them though. I'm the sober one. I'm laughing at other people's antics in a jovial way when they're out of their minds.
I think society has moved that way though. That is more acceptable, or not? It wasn't acceptable, but it was made a joke of. Like if somebody wasn't drinking, like there you are, and you were seen as the outcast for not drinking. Whereas now it's more acceptable to be like, no, I'm not drinking. I've got a busy day tomorrow. No, I'm not drinking because I've actually got stuff to.
I know, because that hangover, the next day you can't do any work. You're stuck. And props to the young people then, if there's new generations coming through who are strong enough minded not to fall back on substances and alcohol to have a good time. Because it's not meant to be that way. We're just indoctrinated. The weekend was created by the elites so that the working class would just blow off steam and get drunk and then come back to work on Monday so they could, rinse them.
Was it, to dull down people, to keep the smart dumb? That's what I.
Well, they've always wanted to keep them dumbed down so that there would be no uprisings if they knew how things really worked.
So now there's this health movement coming through, and people are moving more to sobriety. Do you think that's behind all these big movements that are going on?
Which big movements?
Like the freedom of speech, like people coming out and. Before, everyone used to believe mainstream media like it was gospel, and now no, I'd say probably maybe the older generation still are on that level, but more the younger generation are turning to platforms like YouTube and people like yourself.
No, I think they're all completely different, driven by completely different things. So we've had decades of the deep state being in control of US politics. Even when Trump got in the first time, it seems like he didn't make the changes he's made now. He's wised up to their ways after the almost assassinations. And he knows they're still trying to unalive him. So he's just going all out now to make changes and leave a legacy. I mean, if he could stop the war in Ukraine and save all those lives and perhaps stop the trouble in the Middle East, look how people are going to look back on him versus how they look back on other presidents who've just, people like Henry Kissinger, Agent Orange and all that crap, Nixon. So You asked if the health movement is related to the freedom of speech movement. I think they're separate issues.
You do?
Yeah.
But they're all quite sort of intertwined though, at the top, I think.
Well, he's brought RFK in, hasn't he? Because RFK's goal now is to make America healthy again. So if you look at obesity, if you look at how many people are on medication in America, antidepressants,